We got it up to 2 billion impression mark within an 18-month period.
Why would you not be all over social media when you can get this immediate feedback loop for fucking everything?
There was a call from Kensington Palace.
Will you hear the P word on the beach?
What, pricks?
Meet Michael Corcoran and Dave Morris, two friends and the UK's foremost experts on social media, building brands like Ryanair and TikTok.
If you're not focused on search right now, you're going to lose.
Known for their big insights and even bigger personality.
The second too many brands come to town, the moment's dead.
Here's what I learned about B2B sales after my fucking granny died.
This duo deliver an extra spicy episode heavy on the hot takes.
The follower is dead. We weren't getting a cease and desist. We weren't pushing it hard enough.
Almost like O'Leary's when the original creator-led market.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
Making this one unmissable.
I don't like doing hot takes.
Cheers, boys. Something there. Like,
Cheers, lads. Great to have you.
my God. Just a proper point.
Whiskey at morning time.
See, I've been really excited for this one because you've built arguably one of my favourite brands ever on social. I think Ryanair are absolutely phenomenal. And from what I've heard, you're London's finest pint man.
Yeah. Who's that? Jack Pearce or Dan O'Brien? Or the Toucan?
How does that compare to shit London Guinness?
Do you know what? London Guinness is getting better.
Yeah.
It has to. Well, do you know what's getting better? Social media. Because shit London Guinness, they have to step up. Landlords don't want to be on that. Yeah. And then you have the Devonshire who've just upped the craft. So everyone's generally getting better.
Is the Devonshire a scam? Or like, is the Guinness actually that good there? Because the fucking the €14 pints or whatever
it's a plant by St James's Gate. It has to be.
It is.
It's marketing.
The food's off the charts. But if you go in, like, you'd never see, maybe Grogan's, you'd see all the taps down constantly. Yeah. But you literally go in and you've all the taps down, and it's just sea of points. It's very funny though. You go in and like, because obviously there's lots of single men in there. And then you see all these women going, no, we're not going to go on Hinge or anything. We'll go into Devonshire. And then they go in and they smell a fart. They're like, nope. They're gone again. So it's a weird kind of culture in there. But it has upped the game, and it's amazing.
I've never got in there, but like the fucking social media content over Christmas there, where they were running out of Guinness, was absolutely phenomenal. You know, like I wasn't sure if that was just.
I think whoever's doing this spin in the UK,
it has to have been a ploy.
Yeah.
But that has to be the marketing point. I think that was a scarcity thing. Yeah. But you do see in London now, well, the UK in general is like everyone drinks Guinness. Yeah. I'm not talking like not just us lads. It's every female will drink it. Everyone.
Fantastic.
You know what?
Everyone. It's the biggest selling beer in the UK now.
Starting to claim it as a UK brand at this point, you know? That's the problem. You look up top beers in the UK.
It's technically
and
owned by a
Guinness
UK business, so yeah.
They do that, don't they?
Hello to the UK listeners.
Hello, friends.
Good health, Charles.
It is. It's great to have you both on, and thanks a million for travelling in to see us. Want to very quickly touch on Ryanair. First up, I think, and then obviously a man who's been kind of leading out ecom for TikTok over the last couple of years, like fascinated to dive into a bit of stuff around TikTok Shop, TikTok Live, and just I think the state of social in general and where everything's going. But we might kick things off with just Ryanair. Tell me about the early days when you went in there and just the strategy that you kind of built out.
When I went in first, I was lucky enough. I was given a carte blanche opportunity to try and do this right, because they did have an ambition to be more of this Ryanair DNA tone of voice that was in marketing for years. And for those who aren't familiar with it, if you would have been exposed to Ryanair's PR marketing many moons ago, or the PR of Michael O'Leary, you get a good sense over the tone of voice that you started to see come through in social media. And a lot of that was learned from it, that for a while, I think the brand lost its way, where they were trying to be customer first, is the language most fluffy marketeers would use. And I don't think they understood what it was. Like, you had marketeers come into the business who thought customer first was, we need to be warm, fuzzy and friendly to our customers, where it was like, that can't be the case for Ryanair, because that's not fucking true. It's never going to happen. But customer first to Ryanair was really, we get you from A to B to probably more places in Europe than anybody else for the price of a pint and a packet of crisps, you know, and that's customer first. Like, we've democratized travel, we created this network, and we made travel accessible to all. You can't get any more customer first than that. The product was insanely good. Yes, again, there's some things where there was friction built around, which I'll get to. That's what ended up being the bloody strategy. But it was just crazy. So I came in and I had about 6 months. They gave me 6 months to figure it out, but I think I got there in about 3, which was good. But at that time, Ryanair, I think it was around COVID. I was 2021 I came in, so it was about a year into it where travel was absolutely decimated. So they weren't posting or delivering anything. They weren't communicating because travel didn't exist at this moment in time. So they need to figure out, well, what are they doing? So they understood and they found this platform called TikTok, and a guy called Andrew Mithen, and he should be credited as the person who developed Ryanair's TikTok. And in fact, how probably most brands have approached TikTok today. And if people don't know him, you need to go find him. There are other people in the team who took that over and took credit, but he was the person who figured this out. And what did he do? He did what everybody else couldn't do at the time, which was test, learn, fail, practice. He started to understand the platforms, spot patterns and trends, understood what a music or a trend was in these platforms, and he figured it out. But anyway, we need to figure out what the fuck is this role of social media for Ryanair and how we're going to do it without doing what everybody else does and have a point of difference. So we unpacked it. And again, I kind of touched on it already. Ryanair had this DNA of they democratized travel and they disrupted the entire category. Like you go back to 1985, flying Dublin to London cost about £500. Ryanair opened the door, it became £50. It made travel accessible and it completely disrupted the category. Also in marketing, they disrupted it too, because you had this CEO, Michael O'Leary, who, knew that he wasn't going to spend money on marketing because every euro counts in the business, and they obsess about the operation so much so they almost don't. They treat marketing as a nice to have, but that doesn't mean they don't need to market. And he always sets on he doesn't know marketing. This man knows how to fucking market. He's an absolute genius. So he found a way to look his personality, his brand building, the use of PR to get attention. He found this way to disrupt in a very irreverent and self-deprecating way, giving people exact clarity on what the product was, and then talking about things around the world in a very clever way. And I went, oh, this is something really interesting, because no matter what he says or does, he's polarizing. People will love it, people will hate it, but Jesus Christ, it grabs attention. Yeah. And if you look at the behavior of social, it's quite similar. It's a fight for attention. Once you grab attention in a certain way, people will love it, people will hate it, and there's something within this.
It's almost like O'Leary's when the original creator-led market.
I was about to say the exact same thing. I've never thought of it that way. But
Branson as well, probably. But
I
O'Leary...
was just about to say it. Branson is, but two very different tones, and that's also a good point to make, because you don't have to be a dickhead on the internet to win either. Branson showed also that he was very clever in how he was a positive person and how he could change and disrupt marketing. So that was kind of one area. The other area was like the category, and like, if you look at most airlines, and again, I talk about this ad nauseum and people laugh, but whether you like it or not, it's just a big sweaty box in the air. 35,000 feet. It's fucking uncomfortable.
Fucking scratch cards.
Yeah, unless you fly first class, and we're not all big founders here at the table, so we're not all going to find for first class. So we let these lads travel in style and drink their free whiskey. 12 spot, by the way, so it's a nice one.
Should have gone for more expensive.
Damn right, Guinness. Come on, go straight to the whiskey. But the category is just full of these people selling this polished luxury experience. That's just not the case. Yeah. And then what they ended up doing is they started then with this talking about the journey, your blue oceans and palm trees and your pretty pilots and cabin crews selling this fake thing. And if everybody's doing that and you try to do the same, well, nobody's going to stand out. Because if you remove the palette of that, say, airline or the logo, could you tell on social, or in most cases other marketing forms of marketing, which is which? You probably couldn't tell the difference. So like, again, when you're trying to build a brand, how can you be different and show up? That was another thing that we unlocked. Third thing then was customers. And this is the greatest part. This is my most favorite part. And like, when I look back, when I developed the strategy, I had 3 problems, but really I only had 1, because again, I'm not the greatest strategist in the world, but I'm learning. And what I learned was the first 2 were actually goals and objectives, and they're not strategy. But what we ended up finding out was customers' expectations were way too high flying with Ryanair. But it wasn't the boomers and it wasn't Gen Z.
It's us privileged fuckers.
It's us millennium fucking silver spoon dickheads that are the ones that are the biggest annoyances to Ryanair. Yeah. Because our expectations were way too high. We grew up in the Celtic Tiger, and now we expect hot towels, USB chargers, Wi-Fi, and a foot rub from the pilot for a 10-euro ticket. It's just like, it's madness. And we went, okay, we're onto something here. And like, this is spilling out on social. And it's the Karens and the Keats of the world, because we know if we have a problem with a brand or business, where are we going to go? We know if we go to social, it's going to get attention. The marketeers are going to shit themselves going, our reputation is ruined because Karen and fucking Longford has complained about not getting like a packet of crisps for a 10-euro flight. And it's like madness. And they just shit the bed all the time. Where no, we need to actually change the perception, because most cases the problem was they didn't understand the product and their expectations were too high because they didn't understand the terms and conditions. We went, okay, let's put that to the side. We're onto something here. The last point was actually the change in social, because just before COVID, like people were just kind of pissed off and annoyed with what Instagram and this curated world of social was doing. Like the fake, filtered nature of social, with brands, with people, with influencers, piecing and pouting, selling detox tea, hashtag ads, all of this. We were like, oh, this is just fucking bullshit. This is, none of it's real. And then TikTok came to town. And TikTok became this like comfort blanket for social, because the world was shit. War was happening. We were during a pandemic that none of us experienced before. And we were like, shit, how do we process this? How do we deal with this shit when we're all locked away at home? TikTok became that thing, because people were able to learn from Gen Zs and people that, you know, we can express ourselves online in a real way, and that's okay. And we can use dark humor as a way to process the fact that people are dying and being killed over here, because that's our only way of figuring it out. And we went, okay, so be real on the internet. Change expectations, use dark humor, stay true to the brand's DNA, and just do the opposite of everything else everyone else does. And we came to a point where we knew that social could decrease friction around how people expected Ryanair to operate by using social in the newest form and the way it's doing as the vehicle to do that. And lo and behold, it fucking worked.
Yeah. Was that over 3 months?
So the strategy was developed in 3 months.
Yeah.
So I would have went through, did a couple of presentations with people internally, played with it. And as I was doing that, I was figuring out, well, what sort of resource and operation do I have? At the time, I had 5 people, managed one out. That's a funny story, but I don't think I can tell it on this. 2 that weren't just right for the type of strategy, because I already kind of knew in my head where I think we needed to go, but I needed to do the due diligence to get there. So once they started to see the new direction, they weren't, hey, I don't think this is right for me. And they were right, it wasn't. And I'm glad they got really good roles elsewhere. So I got down as far as a team of 3 people left, myself and 2 others. The solution in most cases isn't throw money and people at it. The solution is getting it right with what we have, prove we can get some signals of impact, and then I'll come to you to scale it. I don't know if you remember on the Downing Street parties, we started to go a bit hard on Boris and the team over COVID gate. And a couple of those went out. And this is where it was a make or break for us, that there was a table that went out around, you know, levels 1 to 5 in the UK around Downing Street parties. So Nas worked with us and kind of developed their own. He went, let's do our own version of that. So he sent in a really great piece. The copy was brilliant. But one of those lines of copy was level 2, which was the Tories off their tits. This is true. And I was like, I went, shit, this might be too hard, I can't put it out. But then luckily enough, I had a meeting with the chief technical officer of Ryanair, John Hurley, the day before. And I was doing my kind of rounds around the business, meeting all the big dogs, like, again, building my understanding of the business. But he said, if there's one thing you're going to do that's going to make or break you in here, do it and ask for forgiveness. And that was fresh in my mind. And I went, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So we put it out. 5-10 minutes later, all I could see was over the kind of, you know, those kind of separations on your desk. My fucking boss going up over, like, what the fuck have you done? And I was like, oh, shit. I said, please give it a couple hours. If it fucking goes belly up, I'll take full accountability. But anyway, it started to peel back and go like polarizing. The Tories fucking hated every bit of it. Yeah. Everybody else loved it. Said, you're right. And like, even without explaining it, they were like, of course you can say this, because like the Tories are taking the piss and your whole business has been decimated because you can't travel.
I could see O'Leary saying that.
Oh, completely.
It's in the culture. You had a safe space.
But that's exactly it. And it started to bubble out, and we're like, it started, but they still weren't happy. But the save and glory was the next day or the day after, I can't remember, there was an article in the Financial Times. I can't remember the journalist, but she wrote an article about brands being more Ryanair. And it was that post plus another couple of other posts that we did previously, was a combination of us being self-deprecating, irreverent, and actually showing up in a way that's really true to the brand. I was like, fuck, that's good. Then a few days later, it got even better. Page 7 of the Sunday Times. Do you think Sunday Times print? Page 7, a piece of content from social was put in page 7 of the Sunday Times. And it basically for the same reasons. Why is this important? Because none of the investors, O'Leary, they're not on social, but they read the Financial Times and they read the Sunday Times. And it was like, gold. And I think it was at that moment that they understood that we understood the business. So that was printed out. Eddie Wilson printed out the Financial Times, and O'Leary printed out the Sunday Times on. They wrote handwritten messages, put on our tables. And this at the time where my boss and the other head of brand were still really fucking squeaky bum about all this. Yeah. And it was almost like the paper smoke went up. I went, you fuckers can't do anything now because the boss man said this is good. So I was like, off we go. And we started to scale on from there.
Unbelievable.
It was crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That's wild. Like it's, I look at like iconic brands for me when it comes to social. I've always loved Paddy Power. Like just put out the most outrageous fucking cat. Like arguably my favorite ad ever is the Roger Giggs one.
Oh, that got cancelled at one stage.
Like phenomenal. But there's one tweet I need to ask you about, all right? Which is like I look at like hashtags down through the years that have just been fucking amazing. One of them for me is Susan Boyle when she released her new album, and there was Susan Album Party, which I might write it on the screen for anyone to see what that actually spells out as. But Prince of Pagan might have been the funniest hashtag to ever trend on Twitter.
There's a great fucking story with that too. There was a call from Kensington Palace.
Oh, so I need to ask you about this. So, like, arguably one of the funniest tweets I've ever seen was the Ryanair share tweet that they came out with. And where did that come from, and where did it end up going?
So the morning that happened, like, we were so good at what we did that we had this trend spotting process. And again, it was very analog, but we conditioned it to be something that was fast. And essentially we had a process, and we had it called the shot clock. And you think of basketball, you think the shot clock, 24 seconds, you either make a shot, you miss it, if not, next play. And I tried to build basically a mentality and a process that we needed to go, and we needed to go fast. If we weren't fast enough and we didn't do it within the allocated time, forget about it, next play, we were too slow. So we did our checks that day, and this came true. And we're like, oh my God, this is so funny. And I said, taking the piss out of the royal family, this is going to be amazing. So I told the guys, let's think of something. What do we have? I said, well, what is pegging? So this is, again, Google it. I'm not explaining it.
I love the turn this podcast is taking.
Can I get another one, please? But essentially, we went, what can we do? So obviously, there needs to be a representation of the act of it to be a comical. We knew we couldn't talk about it because, again, if people are familiar or unfamiliar with the kind of unwritten rule with the media and the royal family is they don't speak ill of the royal family unless the royal family tell you to speak ill of a certain person. And we've experienced that more recently and many, many years ago. So we knew this is going to be a tricky one. So we went, okay, well, we've chairs downstairs in reception from an old plane. But why don't we put one of those armrests sticking up, and let's think of a simple line of copy that could go well with it. So the guys went down, took a picture, white backdrop, they tidied it up, and then they started to write the copy. And at first the copy was, Prince William, we saved you a seat, hashtag Prince of Pegging. And we just went through then our mitigation process of our, how can we clean this up so it doesn't get us in trouble? So we went, well, obviously we can't say the hashtag because that's kind of defamation. That's an easy target for them. We can't reference the Prince and the Royal. So we went, okay, how we've conditioned ourselves really good to mitigate. If we would have did that 6 months ago, we probably would have put that line of copy out and we would have to deal with a huge shit show. But we got better. So literally we stripped back the hashtag, we stripped back the reference of the Royals, and we went, William, we saved you a seat. And why is that important? Because that could have been a case where if they did come, and they went, oh, you need to, and they did come, by the way, and we'll get there. But if anybody came for us, we go, well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Frances, who called us 3 weeks ago to surprise her husband, William, for their 40th wedding anniversary. And they asked us to put a post out to tell them we saved you a seat for your anniversary. So it was so loose that it could be interpreted as anything. And you didn't have to force or tell the joke either because it was existing on the internet anyway, and it was going to appear, so people would have got it. So we put it out, it completely just popped off. 10, 12 million impressions later, we got a call. And this stage, I'm at home playing fetch with my dog, Sadie. And I got a call from the PR team. And they're like, Michael, what the fuck have you done? And I was like, what do you mean? I said, the tweet. I went, what tweet? And they went, I don't fucking know. I haven't seen it either. I went, Kensington Palace have called us and said, you need to take down the tweet. And I was there, oh. And I said, did you speak to legal? And she said, I have. And what did they say? They said, you smart bastard, that they can't fucking touch us. But what they asked for was 3 things. They asked an official apology from Michael O'Leary, which was never going to fucking happen, a statement explaining why we stand by the statement we made, or delete the tweet. Yeah. And at this stage, we were like, well, we've got what we need out of it. People have probably screenshot it galore, and it's living in the internet, so let's delete it. So she went up, I have to tell O'Leary this. She went, sure, yeah, no problem. Because he's definitely not going to apologise. He's not going to write a statement, so we'll just delete it.
And do you know what? They take on like an extra layer of infamy once you've been asked to take something down, and it just amplifies everything to another level.
That's exactly what happened because people had receipts. They had the screenshots. They just started doing it more and more and more again. So we took it down. Kensington Palace called back and said, thank you very much, and left it at that.
That was it.
That was it. But because they couldn't. Like, all they wanted to do was obviously protect the reputation and the story of what was going on. Because even the same week, funny enough, there was an article that came out about Prince Charles donating 1 million to some sort of Afghan charity as a way to completely, or no, it was something else. I think it was actually a negative story. But Charles took a hit on that PR probably to cover up what was there as well. Because on the grand scale of fuck-ups to the royal family, it was probably minimal. But that was it. They just wanted to protect it. But they couldn't go after us because there was nothing there to prove that that piece of content was connected to what was happening on the internet.
Had you learned from previous times to avoid the legal side of it?
But that's it. And like we were very close to the legal team, and they were very good at, like, our communication line was really, really good at how we looked at IP, how we looked at copyright, how we looked at, again, cease and desist. And like one thing we joke about, but it was serious. If we weren't getting a cease and desist, we weren't pushing it hard enough.
One thing that you guys obviously nailed was tone, entertainment as a brand, which you tend not to see very often. Where do you think most brands go wrong when it comes to TikTok and social in general? Because I think Ryanair are unique. Like most brands tend to be quite dull when it comes to it.
Let's be honest, there's very few brands out there who actually are doing, not even TikTok, social well. I think with TikTok, there's many that have kind of cracked Instagram, but now they're going, okay, let's throw Instagram into TikTok, and that's just not working. It's completely different ball game. You should treat TikTok as people first. I call it not Kardashians. Kardashian bullshit is gone. Kardashians worked on Instagram. No one gives a fuck about them. In TikTok, they want, dare I say the word, authentic. But like it is, if you see what works, it is any Tom, Dick, Harry, Mary just showing a point and being funny. That's the hack. That's it. Brands can't do that. To Michael's point, like, there's no culture within those brands to do it. There's no environment. There's no Michael Leary. So they're all kind of just scrambling, really.
What's your take on organic versus paid? So, like, they're two. I think most brands and most social marketers in general tend to forget they're totally different. Yeah.
Yes and no, because.
By the way, I'm a paid guy and he's an organic guy. This is going to be very juicy. Come on.
But see, the thing is, I'm not like.
Spend.
Going back to the brand building point, like, authenticity in most cases is what the brand or product is and how you speak and show up. If they're not the same, you're not going to be credible. You're not going to, and you're seeing this play out with some of the startups at the moment. Amy Smalls from Odd Muse and others at the moment. Amazing, but been brought through the rinser because she showed up talking about sustainability and doing things that won a lot of attention. But the language she used, and when she was found out over the last few weeks, it's not true. So now she's getting a lot of trouble.
She's going through the shredder.
And she'll come back. She's a smart, amazing, talented person. But being authentic is what you are, warts and all, versus how you show up, warts and all.
Yeah.
There's a great line by Jane Woodward from Dermalogica. You need to piss off the 80% to win the 20%. You can't be all things to all people. The second you do that, you fail. You're just joining with the sea of sameness. And that's what's happening. I think a lot of people in the world of brands and social right now are just navel gazing. They're missing one incredibly important thing, and that's strategy, which is going to what your question you just asked me. Is it organic and paid, which is better? It depends. It depends on what the problem, the gap, and the opportunity you're trying to solve. It depends on the time, resource, and budget you have, or the type of product and service you have. Because there are some brands that can do an incredible job in their early days starting off in organic because they have the time to do it. There are others that can't. And you go into like startup mode and products and stuff as well.
Do you think social media is a talent problem? Because the way I see it, like, the strategists are in there, and there's amazing strategists in the industry.
I don't know. I'm like, if I'm being totally honest, there's not.
Okay.
To answer your question, is there a talent problem? Yes.
Not in social. Okay. In social media, there's no strategists.
I don't think there's any. I've yet to find somebody. There's a handful of small people, and again,
if you go into the big six and you go into planner departments, you have generally good thinkers, right?
Good thinkers, yes.
Yeah, practitioners, maybe not, but at least they're there. In social media today, it's still the grads. It's in most brands.
Yeah, no.
It's still the grads, and they don't have a voice, and they don't have the thinking. Whereas all the fucking thinking, or relatively good thinking, is in a fucking billboard or a TV ad.
Which is insane because most budgets are now going into social.
And social media, well, somewhat. Still should be more given the amount of eyeballs that are there. But the problem is it's still kind of Mickey Mouse land in social media in terms of thinking and practice. Whereas if you're following the money and the eyeballs, the best thinking should be there. And also, if you're to be a really, really fucking good brand today, we'll go back to customer centricity, customer first. Why would you not be all over social media when you can get this immediate feedback loop for fucking everything?
Yeah.
Why would you not? It's insanity to me.
What feedback are you getting from a billboard
Exactly.
or a TV ad?
And when are you going to get it?
Yeah.
Anything. You're going to get exactly how people think about your ad, your fucking post, your product, your tone, your staff even. Everything is there. It's the best feedback that we have.
It's funny because like social can influence really great out of home faster too, because this is where people forget. Like if people like a line of copy, they're going to interact with it. If they don't, they don't. So even if you were thinking about you should be using it as a test ground. But there's some really good points Dave's making around the whole thing. Like why I mean there's an absence in strategy is because if we went back earlier, we talked about this decoupling and all that thing we're trying to figure out. Nobody knows what's going on. We're all very smart and understand the platforms. We all understand tactically, but nobody understands how to build brands. And that's the problem I have. Next point, Howard, which is really good, is we actually have amazing brand strategy talent on the other side of the fence and broader marketing, but they don't know social enough. And we have this bit in the middle where we need to fix. And it's why there's a gap right now between, say, C-suite and senior people going, hey, we know social's a big thing. Here's a few quid. Children go post memes on the internet. Yeah. But then down below is the talent in social media aren't talking brand or business because they're not talking strategically. So when they go into this room for 30 minutes a year or every 2 years and they try and do it, they're actually talking about, vanity metrics and one great thing that went viral that the platform picked you and you got lucky, instead of actually figuring out how to solve problems. So to me, it's not organic or paid. It starts with strategy. Then it's based on your time, resource, and budget. How do you think you can solve that problem or answer that opportunity with social? And what's the best way to do it? Like we'd all love to have paid, creator, organic, but that's not the case. Yeah. To Dave's point, it's still severely underinvested for the eyeballs that are there.
And social is one thing, but just a general digital market today, or even a market today, they should be two things, and everyone needs to move this way. You should be both a creative and a CFO. Any modern marketer today should be able to do the creative. Okay, you don't have to fucking create a Mona Lisa, but you should know who to find, how to get that talent, and what the unit economics of that asset is. 100%. That's it. The algorithms are doing everything for you now. The bidding, targeting, budgeting, blah blah. Even lo and behold, they'll do strategy soon. That's all being done.
And even the modern marketer are going to manage it too. So
exactly. So the modern marketer should be creative and financially literate, and everything else get out of the way.
So why has that not happened though? Because it's like social media has been around for a while now.
But it's just the lack of understanding and the lack of investment. We as an industry of professionals have not done a good job in fighting and respecting what we do, because we're all yes bestie, slay girl on the fucking internet, and it's just about it's all about virality and tactics. Yeah. We're not going into those rooms putting respect on what we're doing. That if you do put good strategy behind it, if you do really good work, yes, the execution might look a bit scatty and lo-fi because you're playing into the behavior of the platform, but it's actually a big grown-up job now. Like the access to people we have, the ability to change a brand is massive in these spaces, but we are not doing a good job going into rooms to say that, and we are not doing ourselves justice. But the problem is, it's all woe is me in the industry going, they don't understand us. We're not very good at what we're, they don't relate to what we're doing. And well, we haven't done a good job in explaining it. So it's this catch-22. And then there's another layer. Again, I can talk about the shit.
Like Canline's in what, a week or two?
Canline can go fuck itself.
Okay, exactly, you can go fuck itself. Not a waffle on a beach, right?
Just drinking rosé with a bunch of grey-haired ECDs. It's the worst reflection of the industry right now.
But exactly, it's my point. Like, will you hear the P word on the beach over rosé?
Well, pricks.
You hear about that? Profitability. Which in e-commerce is on the tip of every founder's tongue. It's the fucking industry, but it has to.
Are you familiar with Can?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, like, how much 40 quid for a rosé? And there's
But the whole thing is ridiculous. Like, let's have a rant.
But like, I actually focus on the bottom line. No, and they're the leaders. Yeah. A load of fucking nonsense. And here's the other part of the problem with the industry, is brand versus performance.
Yeah.
Right. And I just call it just pragmatism. To your point, like, why don't people look this way and everything? There's a lack of pragmatism in marketing in general. Like, if you're pragmatic, you'd invest more in TikTok and other channels, because people spend, I'm not doing a pitch for TikTok here, but it is, like, the numbers there, they spend 90 to 120 minutes a day in the fucking thing. Ex TikTok. But you know what I mean? There's the pragmatism of it all. But like a brand performance thing, if you look at the numbers on these ad platforms, right? If you look at Meta, how much of the spend that goes through that platform is for performance objectives? Have a guess.
Probably all of it.
It's about 80 to 82%. Yeah, the brand marketers,
like, the awareness marketing goes out the window. You're saying it's all bottom funnel.
It's that piece.
Yeah.
But yet, the mall in Cannes are talking about this fucking small problem.
Yeah.
Well, the real practitioners and the real talent, by the way, the people I'd hire, I would never hire a brand marketer. If someone can tell me what a pixel does, I will fucking look at that person straight away. Yeah. I will ignore anyone who doesn't have performance marketing understanding. Because, do you know why? Because they're not pragmatic. Yeah. And they're not looking at where to drive an actual business. You need brand marketing. That's I'm not going to say it.
But this is a good point, though, because, like, we're eventually going to get back to your question. You can build a brand with paid media. Yeah. You can play a full pure play model with paid media. Can you build a brand more? Of course you can. But again, going back to what your strategy is, how you're solving for time, resource, and budget, using paid to build brand might be more effective based on the time and resource you have than investing in organic. And I'll give you an example. You might have a startup brand who might be selling leather wallets. And this leather wallet company, this person is making them by fucking hand. Do you think he has time or she has time to be, posting 25 stories a day or copies of it? No. But what they can do is spend a day filming, creating a whole suite of creative. And even with the small money they have left, run paid ads every month with the same creative, excluding audiences, learning, building lookalikes to build a brand. Of course you can do that. Yeah. It's not one or the other. It's great to do it all, but that's not the reality right now. And it all goes down to success. Organic is also changing a lot too, which we'll probably touch on as well, because it's not what people perceive it to be. And the introduction of search and social is completely opening the door wide.
Especially on TikTok.
Oh, everywhere, everywhere, even on Snapchat and others.
Yeah.
Like, the role of search in social is going to open up the doors for what organic kind of definition is and its role. It's going to change even more. So it will be a bit different in its value, but it's not one or the other. It's what's best based on time, resource, and budget, what drives the most impact. Then once you can prove that and you get more scale and budget, try and spread out and do more.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're talking about search, and that's obviously becoming a big thing now. You look at TikTok, you look at YouTube, like, a lot of traffic that's been driven to these videos is coming through search. Do followers matter on social anymore?
Not. I'll give you the in-platform view. You can give your outside platform view.
Followers should matter, but how the platforms have now been designed, they don't matter anymore. The follower is dead, because it doesn't matter whether you have 5 followers or 5 million followers. If your content is good enough and it plays the system well enough, it's going to be put into people's feet. So discovery is dictating social right now organically, rather than what we used to have, which was, again, you posted, you got a certain amount of your audience. The more they engaged, the more that they saw. So it doesn't matter right now. It should. Yeah. But the problem is, like, we live on rented land now. Like, any platform could go off overnight, and the time and money you put into organic and other things, you don't own that audience. Yeah. And that scares the shit out of me. So it should matter. We need to find ways to make it matter. We need to find ways to connect people to go forward. But right now, social media in its organic newsfeed or For You page era, it's built upon discovery. So therefore, it's not as important anymore. And that means that unlocks a couple of other amazing tactics that you should consider to try and beat the system to get as much awareness and as much reach as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Like, a history lesson. I was at Facebook at the time when, as a commercial team, we pushed getting likes. That was because we didn't have a performance mechanism. We couldn't convert your product. So, like, okay, let's push likes as a way to get the company money. give Mr. Zuck some money for his mission. And now he's stressing like a fucking idiot. Hi, Mark. Hi, Mark. Ex-employee. And then it went down to Instagram. And to be fair, Instagram, the follower account did work. It did bring you up on the Kardashians and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. TikTok came along, and TikTok is a complete and total creative meritocracy. If you have 10 followers and you put a video out, you can get 5 million views. Yeah. That changed the game. And then suddenly you see, to your point, is kind of Missouri in Instagram goes, let's just chuck it into Reels. Yeah. So the main place where people see things is complete discoverability, and it is down to your fucking content. Yeah. Like this goldfish thing we have in this industry, like followers count, likes count, is just, again, just have some fucking pragmatism. Yeah. And also marketers today should be better practitioners in the platforms to realize that.
Do you know what it is? It creates incredible feedback for you as a marketer when you're able to see that this piece of content has gotten 100,000 views versus the following one that you've put out gets 1,500 views. And it shows you exactly what you're doing well and exactly what you're doing badly.
And scale up what works.
And it's so funny, but then people aren't learning from that and figuring out how to do it better. An example of that is like, what's winning right now are things which is episodic content and repeatable formats. Because if you think of the chaos of the feeds and how we're looking as a viewer, the second you actually see something that you've watched before that looks familiar, there's a chance you're going to stop and look around. But if you keep on publishing the same content from the same platform or profile, it's only as good as its previous posts. So it has to go through this system again and again and again. And if, to your point, that next post only had 200 views, and you post a similar version of that content again, there's a chance that might not get the performance it deserves because of what you're doing. So you're seeing really smart things, and people will and should be start doing it, which is if you find a format that works, you put it out in its own separate profile and you run that as a repeatable format again and again and again on that channel. So the chances of its performance improving and growing over time is good. There's a coffee shop called La La Land Coffee, and they did this on TikTok really, really well. And they created a series called Drive By Kindness. And in that, it was essentially, they were doing the same. They were a coffee shop where they're doing BTS, barista coffee, here's a recipe, wanky shit. But then they did this random thing where they drove around the car on the streets of the city they're in, and they just screamed compliments at people in a car.
Sounds like James Corden.
I know. God, yeah.
He'd be shouting other things, yeah.
Definitely.
Prick.
But
I got prick in there as well, so we both got prick.
Yeah, it's 1-1. We actually banned him on Ryanair in a tweet before as well, yeah.
Oh, like he'd fly with you.
Remember that restaurant tobacco where he got banned from the restaurant? Oh, yeah. We also banned him on Ryanair that time, so that got loads of attention.
Chef's kiss.
But this started to pop off. So rather than competing, somebody had the sense to go, hey, this is how its platforms are. Why don't we create Drive By Kindness as a separate account and just post only Drive By?
So it was the only thing that they did on that channel?
So they took the repeatable format that worked off the main account. They created a channel which was for Drive By Kindness, and all the posts for that video, and the framing, the look was the same. People knew the second they were going down, that I know what's going to happen here. I'm going to stop and get my little dopamine buzz from these guys. And it just kept on going, hundreds of thousands, millions of videos. So they started to be smart. So those that are winning in that space, because they understand that followers don't matter, we're cannibalizing our performance by doing the wrong things. Let's understand how we can get every piece of content out to the feed. Another example of how that could be is, I saw this last week, which I thought was brilliant. There was an account that was posting really good content, but there was a limitation to their time and resource and how they could scale. So what did they do? They created 9 other accounts. And all they did was post the exact same content in those 9 accounts. So therefore, they were 10xing their views. And some of those videos were getting
hitting different viewers every time.
Different audiences.
Yeah.
Because again, not everybody sees the same post every time. The chances of happening are so slim.
So
they literally just went, I'm setting up 9 other accounts. I'm just going to post the same content out there. Now they've 10x their views and probably more. And they're reaching more people with the same content.
Just moving on to that, yeah. So like big trend that we've seen over the last couple of years has been creator-led brands. We're seeing more and more of them popping up, particularly on TikTok. Want to get both of your takes on this. So where do you feel this goes right? Where do you feel it goes badly? Because like, I think you take the example of Prime, huge base of distribution and customers there from the get-go. Brand ends up absolutely tanking off the back of 18 months later. Where do you think this works and where doesn't it work, Dave? Because you're working with a few of them.
Just being real. Like, honestly, one of the brands I've been kind of most... I didn't know the brand until I started TikTok. And then most impressed by is P. Louise. Paige, she's a fucking legend. Like, she's just... meeting her, she's just energy and community. And community is a bastardized word in this stage.
Such a bastard.
Oh, isn't it? It's a fucking horrendous...
Is there such thing as community? Or is it just...
Yeah, but it's not built just solely on social.
Yeah.
It's a combination of many things. In real life is where it properly cultivates and
this is
back
the,
on.
and this thing, it has to be in real life. I think people have these digital communities just completely out of bullshit.
Comment sections are not community, and everybody still says
Exactly.
that. Like, but just the problem is, it's a pyramid scheme in social. Like, every word you hear is, you'll have 4 or 5 arseholes at the top who have clout and start singing. And here's one for you. The rise of the curator. I guarantee you're going to see this at the end of the year in every trend report. And I'm actually tracking the gobshites that are saying it now. Tastemakers and curators, because we're in the brain rot era social, which is true. We are now looking for people who curate really good information for us. Is that not a fucking influencer? Is that not a creator? Do we not have influencers and creators who do this already? What people love doing is creating new shit to sell new shit on the internet, so people will buy more fucking playbooks from these gobshites. So watch that, you'll see that happening.
I think in real life is the key thing. So, also, actually, I'll just off-piece from Louise, before TikTok, I used to work with Gymshark, and they created this fucking...
Is this in the early days of Facebook?
Yeah, like I was account manager from like 2017, 2018.
Yeah, that's pretty early on for
That's when they were
Gymshark, yeah.
about-
Yeah, and they're real.
pop off,
But they put their fucking money where their mouth is, and they created, what is it, a £10 million gym in Solihull?
So fucking
Which
good.
is out of this world. And I was like, oh, you're doing it. You're doing this community thing properly. And they're practicing to preach. But have you seen George Heaton?
Yes, yeah. Big fan of the brand, yeah.
So that brand, and this is kind of like almost kind of strategy. If you think of that brand, it's real. It is streetwear, but it's high-end streetwear. It's inspirational. It's kind of, it's pushing the edge.
Yeah.
That guy does fucking marathons in the morning, smashes a ribeye, goes driving a Rolls Royce, designs some cool clobber, smashes another ribeye, does another marathon, and then goes off fucking to some fucking Motley Crue gig in fucking LA.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, you know, but he's doing that, and you're kind of like, oh, what's he wearing? Okay, cool, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
That stuff, like, just fucking practice your preach and doing it in a way that is he being meaning to be brand centric? I don't know.
There is huge cost though associated with all 3 of those, like.
Oh, huge, and it's their lives.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like Paige, hello Paige. Like, for the first times I met Paige I was like, Paige, okay, one thing I can try and help you with is to have a holiday. She hadn't had a holiday in 7 years. I was like, okay, our mission together is let's grow your business in a way that and help you that you take a holiday. But this is their lives, and like they're kind of unicorns. But if brands listen to this, want to see what good looks like, that's what good looks like. But there is a sacrifice. So again, it's up to
Authenticity as well, isn't it? It's just who they are as people, and they're giving you like a real snippet into what's actually going on in their lives.
being human. Being
Like
human.
George Heaton is just one of those freaks. Like, he was one of the original 75 hard people. Like, that's just his lifestyle.
And with AI blooming or here, what's going to be the differentiator or competitive edge for anything in life?
Yeah.
Is to be more human.
Yeah.
So do that.
I like creator-led brands are quite interesting because they deserve everything they get because they've invested so much of themselves and their time into building something that a lot of people latch on to. And there's only a certain amount of monetization these platforms can give you. And if you're sacrificing any other type of career for this, of course they want to try and build it as successfully as they can. So the fact that they can potentially find offshoots of what they do as creators of making content to create brands and other things to monetize, I'm delighted. It's a great thing to see because they have things that other brands, legacy brands, don't have. They have entertainment and media, and they've got distribution, a switched on audience ready for market no matter what you make. The challenge is, to your point on Prime, is after the hype, does it live up to what it is? And if it doesn't, that's where it tanks.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes wrong. And even Mr. Beast has got this wrong with Beast Burger, with Feastables. If the product doesn't live beyond the hype, you're toast.
What about Gwyneth Paltrow's product?
Hmm?
What about Gwyneth Paltrow's product? Trying to catch the candle.
The candle. Yeah.
Does it live up?
It was always sold out. I kept trying to buy it.
Also, do you think Zuckerberg is trying to do a creator-led marketing play? I think definitely.
Sorry, 100% yes. Yeah.
And failing.
Yeah. Well, apparently, and this is moving on a little bit here now, but apparently Facebook is going to become the next big trend again in 2025.
But I think it always has. And even Facebook as a space and place in its original role lost its meaning to some, but not to all. Like when you look at Facebook Marketplace, that's fucking thriving. When you look at Facebook groups, it's incredibly big. It's just the feed and this kind of short-term entertainment and evolution of, I don't want to be on the platform my mom and dad is on. I need somewhere else. It still exists.
There's also a bias again with a lot of things in society. But I think particularly we were speaking from Ireland, right? When I was at Facebook, I don't know the data now, but at the time everyone's like, "No, I'm going off Facebook. Facebook is dead." And I'm like, "Well, I can still see 2.5 billion people on the thing every day from the data I see." So yeah, it probably is in your little world. And Ireland usually bucks the trend and it's kind of more of a first mover on all things social. We're just inherently chatty fucking people. None of it plays out in the data. But the thing is, to your point, is groups, marketplaces, you go to other markets, other countries, gangbuster.
That's the other thing. And even like things like WhatsApp. Like there are markets in the world where, because connectivity is still not as modernized or the infrastructure is not there, WhatsApp is in some markets the most popular social media app and that's owned by Meta. So like all these things happen, and like
we have to be more data led in everything we're looking at, because if we all believe our own bullshit, we're screwed.
It's so easy when you're the user as well to say, well, I don't use Facebook.
It's biased. Completely. And but they do an incredibly good job of, whilst you're over here trying to have fun to impress people you don't know on other platforms for clout, every so often you get that notification. Oh, it's Mary's. Remember that memory from 10 years ago where you and Mary in college did that funny, stupid thing? Go have a look at that picture, and you're in. And it's like, let's have a little nose about what everybody's doing. And now you're back in, and then they're serving all their lovely ads in between. And
there's a dog that's missing in New Zealand from my aunt. Okay. Still missing.
Yeah. Sharing for the Townsend of Auckland, Karen.
Fucking will they find that dog?
It's still thriving. It always has, but it's just, again, it just wasn't cool because evolution happens.
Messenger is still huge. It's that these things aren't going away anytime at all.
So just to go back to creators, okay? So like creator-led brands, there's great ones out there. There's terrible ones out there. Distribution is king. Still continues to be.
But it's insane. It's such a switch on audience.
Yeah. And
people buy from people.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can sum up the thing. And I think the like particularly TikTok, but also the technology's caught up. So everyone has this shoot in their phone, and they have themselves and they have their friends. So we're just in a world where it's just complete people centricity. And brands, if you're going to be interesting, to your point earlier, just have a bloody good product and put it in their hands, and then let the customers or the creators take care of it. Yeah. Like trying to fucking logo it up and all these things kind of doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. Big time. So I agree with that. And like one trend that we've seen, it's kind of happened, we've seen Stephen Bartlett do it a lot over the last couple of years, is invest in companies like Huel, push them through his platform. The last couple of weeks, we've seen
as well.
We've seen Sidemen. I don't know if you guys
genius.
saw that.
I've met the MD of Sidemen, Victor, several times, and he is what the Sidemen are doing is absolutely transformative, and I don't think people give those guys enough credit for what they're building. With this VC fund, to me it's like Dragon's Den 2.0. It's the new Dragon's Den of what they're going to do. And if they're going to support other brands or other creators with new brands and be this infrastructure, they're almost creating the new Procter & Gamble or the new Unilever of the world. But they have what Procter & Gamble and Unilever don't have, which is they've got distribution and a switched on audience with having to invest very little in marketing because of what they've built. And it's like, when they start going up against these big brands, they better be scared. Even they're going up against broadcast right now with what they're doing on YouTube, what they're doing on Netflix. like there has to be something else in what they're cooking right now, where they are going to build a new streaming platform of sorts. Like when you have that, like that reach, that media house capability that the Sidemen have, and the distribution of switched on audience with all the infrastructure that they're building. Imagine bringing in all like this conveyor belt of new product development and new brands and customer friendly brands, where margins are going to be so important, where you have to spend less on marketing to get your margins up, or your distribution has to be so fucking lean to compete with everybody else. They can compete with it because of what they're building. LinkedIn
is probably the most fascinating platform in the last 5 years, because it's the B2B platform. Whereas now, I sometimes don't know what's going on there. Like, honestly, what is going on?
Run from it. Yeah, I'm there shit posting every day, and it's the best fun ever.
But that's it, people are on it non-stop.
I just started going, fuck, there's no tunes in here. I'm going to start throwing tunes in here.
Live Friday mixes with Dave.
Fucking,
I'm enjoying your weekly posts.
But the recommendations is always good,
waffle, like, oh, here's what I learned about B2B sales after my fucking granny died and shit like that. Like, just Christ almighty.
But it's also worse. The second they see an out-of-home and one influential person takes a picture of that out-of-home, the whole of LinkedIn has decided within 3 hours that morning whether that's a good campaign or a bad campaign, or whether it works or not, without the fucking thing having a chance to survive.
And no offense to some people, but like a lot of people spoof it, like you're not good operators. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like this is just fucking practice what you preach.
This feels like therapy.
It is, but if there's a LinkedIn AI filter for people who practice what they preach on LinkedIn, I think you'd take about 80% of posts down.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm seeing now is a lot of people, their reach is dying on Twitter, and they're now moving all that same shit across to LinkedIn, and they look like an even bigger arsehole over there.
But I would give positively, it's a fucking treasure trove of insight that there's never been before, and this is something I'd say to my team. My team is with, like, there's a day when I used to have to work with Brand X, whatever, Jim Shack, you know what it is, and you'd never, it would take 10 meetings to get to, okay, that's actually your strategy for the year going forward, or that's the way your mindset is. LinkedIn, it's like there now. Everyone's sharing it now. Like there's never been such business intelligence poured out, and ever. But then there's so much fucking bullshit.
Can we do this with the intelligence part too? Because I think a lot of it.
I was trying to be positive here.
No, but let's be real. Like, let's be real about it. Like, I think there's a lot out there. Like there's
content.
Yeah. Sure is, but again, I don't think it's quite intelligent either, because again, that's another rabbit hole. That could be another 2 hours of a podcast.
Do you know what I will say for LinkedIn? Organic reach is phenomenal.
It's still for now, and it's doing good. The problem is they brought in this video product, which they just want to copy everyone else. And I think it was the right thing to do, but how they launched it and the feed that they built was ridiculous. They've pulled back on it now, and now video product on LinkedIn is absolute septic.
Yeah,
but even like
nobody uses it.
But they've stopped using it because
they didn't have stories as well 2 or 3 years ago as well.
To me, they need to bring back stories. To me, stories would clean up so much bullshit on LinkedIn, that because everyone's like, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm riding my private jet being a fucking startup founder, or here's this out of home that I thought was great, that's just flooding the feed with shite that they could put up into a stories product in LinkedIn that like give them the space to, brag and have their egos that some people will like, some people won't, and keep the feed to something really, really good. But the video product, the feed that they built was good. It was, again, essentially Reels and TikTok, just copy. But then they retracted it after a couple of months because nobody was using it. It was just nothing but wanky fucking LinkedIn by my playbook idiots on the feed. And they went back to the traditional video feed, but what ended up happening is that whatever way it's housed, it's just really clunky and stupid. It used to be you could see the caption up top and the video was at the bottom, which meant that you could have a really nice video, a really good caption, and then build upon it if you need it. Right now it's encased in what's like a 4:5 ratio video. Click to expect the and so the user journey is so clunky and shit that it's putting people off video, so they're defaulting to text-based posts, which are doing really, really well, and carousel in PDF format.
There's a couple of areas I want to dive into just before we finish up. Big one at the moment, TikTok Shop, TikTok Live, 2 things that have begun to heavily trend, not just in Ireland here because we've gotten it recently, but across the world over the last 18 months. I think one advantage that TikTok has had for a lot of brands that Instagram and other social channels just haven't over the last couple of years has kind of it's been the ability for your content to just go viral overnight and effectively being able to create a brand overnight from nothing. Any brands out there at the moment that have just absolutely nailed TikTok Shop for you, and why is that?
Again, it comes from that core of page community, just doing everything, just talking. Like for Paige and her team, it wasn't hard to go on live for 12 hours and to talk to their customers because they just do that every day anyway. This whole live thing is a sensation when it works, but it's fucking not working for people because they're usually giving it to an agency, which makes no sense. It has to be done in-house, and kind of like the Ryanair example, it has to be DNA inside the business to do it. Really has to be. Otherwise, discounted. But to make things work in TikTok Shop, you need to invest a lot. To be honest, you might need 3 or 4 headcount. But the eyeballs are there, the audience is there. If you Page and we see Made by Mitchell, they can do anything from 1 to 2 million in GMV in 24 hours. It's gangbusters if you're set up for it.
But you got to commit.
You got to commit. You have to be all in, and that's TikTok in general. But
and you look at Lux Collective in Bengala when he did it. He literally was on live for probably non-stop for about 3 or 4 weeks.
And we sat down with Daisy Kelly a couple of weeks ago, six-figure day on there, which is just absolutely mental.
And Daisy,
which sounds good, but what was the margin?
Yeah, again, no. So that's another thing. I mean, there's lots of issues with TikTok. Like one thing I actually wanted to ask you on was big thing we hear a lot of creators talking about is the fact that they don't get any data back. You are not able to retarget those customers continually.
Like Corcoran views, and then you bring your ad model into play because they were dabbling, but they didn't buy. So how can DR work really, really well? Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that's going to change?
I've never seen such a phenomenon like TikTok Shop. I've been working in e-commerce for 13 or something odd years. I've never been in meetings, so many meetings with a brand. Oh, they want to talk about TikTok Shop. It's the amount of excitement is up here, but the converting that to make it scalable and profitable is such a delta. Yeah. And I think I'm ex-TikTok now, I'm going to say it, but like TikTok Shop need to listen and give that because it's a game changer. But it has to be made work for the brands. There are anomalies. Daisy, go for it, is amazing. Just lean in and go for it. P. Louise as well, Mabel Mitchell's, there's others. We've seen even Connor and Essence Vault, Wonderskin. There's a few coming in, and we're starting to see more in the US and everything now. But it has to work for everyone. It has to work for the ecosystem. It has to work for e-commerce.
Yeah. Are there certain product categories or business models where it's a no-brainer? You should absolutely be on.
Beauty is a fucking home run. If you have a price point between, let's say, 10 to 50 quid. It's a no-brainer. Go for it. It's not flipping mattresses now. It's not there because the user behavior isn't there yet. The user psychology is there. If you go to Amazon, if someone fucking flogged a fucking Volkswagen Golf at me, one click buy. Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get that tomorrow because they have decades of trust built up. TikTok people are literally buying. They're not buying from the brand. They're buying from TikTok. Yeah. So they're going. Oh, will come. That's why they're buying fucking toilet paper en masse. They're literally testing it out. They're still in that kind of test phase. So for a brand, you should really go into it thinking, okay, they want to test us. So let's go in with a product or a price point that leads into that. That's going to change in time. It's accelerating. Clip, it's got into European markets as well. Like the Germans now have it. Very risk adverse. And if they start to buy stuff,
but they like to stock up in toilet paper.
They fucking do, yeah. They will. But you know what I mean. So you're going to see more pervasive in society buying from TikTok. So word of mouth will go. I bought that from TikTok. You bought a laptop.
TikTok made me buy it.
Exactly. And that was organic, by the way. So it's a very buyer. It's a very trigger happy buyer environment. TikTok, free TikTok Shop. I also say to you, if you look at taking an in-platform view, the difference in when I was at Meta versus TikTok in terms of this approach to commerce is it's night and day. So when I was at Meta, I used to work at Gymshark. Don't mind me saying this, I don't think. There was a I think Mark Zuckerberg said at the time, it was like the metaverse, we're doing commerce, put his hand up. Again, this is practice to preach stuff here. So actually what happened was, there's about 20 brands globally assigned, okay, we're going to try and make commerce work on Instagram. One click buy on Instagram. So we went to Gymshark. Gymshark nearly had a fucking heart attack. Oh, really? Okay, all in. So I was like, great. What actually happened was there was a product manager and 2 engineers in Menlo Park assigned to this fucking global project. And they're hardly working like thousands of engineers in China on the fucking thing. Like, you know what I mean? They're busy getting their matcha lattes, and then we're going, by the way, could you do this? It took months for them to even tell Gymshark you need an entity Delaware to actually be able to make this operational. And I left the company. That was end of 2019. So I was like, fuck, no, that's a waste. It was a missed goal. So then I joined TikTok February 2022, and I was on my onboarding call. And there was about 100 people on the onboarding call. And people kept saying, I'm on the e-commerce team. I was like, then my team? I didn't know. And then I realized, there's a thing called TikTok Shop. And there's 400 people in London alone, not engineers. There's obviously thousands of engineers in headquarters in China. And also they had the sister app Douyin with this e-commerce engine built, which is 3 years ahead. Now that was doing commerce properly. It is all in. So brands should be going into this because the customer base and the market is going that way, but also the resource and capital is going that way. It's just we need to be very real about how it works right now and how it's going to work going forward.
I think we're finishing up, or we're going to get kicked out of here. I have 2 questions I want to ask both of you before we finish. Biggest trend or hottest take for social media in the next 12 months? Where do you think?
We got 2 those yet.
There's been a whack of hot takes. There's been a whack of them.
I don't like doing hot takes, but there is a shift in.
Oh, give it to me.
I don't like it, but I'm going to spend 10 hours talking about it. There's a shift in behavior on the platforms. Like this whole brain rot era of social is actually going to be detrimental to people's desire to go on the channel. So we talked earlier about discovery. Discovery to me is going to influence how you win or lose within this For You page behavior right now. If you don't break away from the traditional I own one profile, create repeatable formats, understand that you need to build a universe of potential profiles and platforms to win, I think you're going to miss opportunity to growth, and you'd be better off spending money on paid media on social than looking at organic as a whole. Second hot take, social search. If you're not focused on search right now, you're going to lose. Search can probably be the main role for most brands. If it all depends on your marketing mix. If you've got great paid outside of social, you're working great marketing everywhere else. That last mile of showing up to make people consider you in a category, a very aggressive category, that when they search for things and recommendations, if you're not appearing in those search terms and those search behaviors on social, and that's going to be instrumental. And it's not just TikTok, by the way. The behavior is the same on Instagram. It is even with Snap recommendations. It is even with most platforms. So play to discovery, social search, and the next one is you need to be prepared for what comes next, which is closed networks. It is people not wanting to overshare and be part of that experience. Where are most Gen Alpha, Gen Zs going? Smaller groups of communities experiencing behind it. The biggest challenge is how the fuck does a brand get in there?
Yeah.
How the fuck does a brand get in there?
I heard Gary Vee about a couple of weeks ago talking about a social network that he invested in that popped up around the same time as Instagram. And what it was Instagram, exact same concept, like sharing photo diaries of your life, except you could have max 100 followers and you could only follow 100 other people. So it was this idea of closed community. You're only going to follow the most important people to you, and you're only going to see content from the most important people to you.
It's kind of come back to what you were saying earlier. Like, it's all reversing back to just marketing 101 books. Like, get your VIPs, your early adopters. That's the first 100.
What did Facebook do early days? Exclusivity. You were only connecting with people that you knew, and it was about that like closed inner circle. So that's a take. I actually love that take.
Do you remember Path?
What is?
Do you remember Path?
Yeah.
It was like a social
road
network.
in Limerick?
Yeah, the one with the grass in the middle.
Yeah. No, it's like
I was wondering when the Leinster aristocracy nonsense. I
knew they'd come for us.
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking Leinster head. I'm from a fucking. I probably learnt school on the penal laws, hedge schools, back with the fucking monks. I was hiding in a ditch somewhere when I was back arse of nowhere. Fuck you and your Leinster, fucking Jack.
Dave Morrissey, give me your hot take.
It's more what I'd want.
Okay.
Is it in your book?
Actually, it probably is.
What's the name of your book,
We done a
Dave?
plug?
You
Plug
have a
it.
book? Dave
Give
has a
us
book.
that fucking, yeah, it's actually in here, actually. Thank you, Grow Like Tech. No, but it is, sorry. That's all ChatGPT, by the way. If marketers or just business people could just be more fucking human and practice what they preach, everything's grand. And pragmatism. Those three things. Be human, practice what you preach, and be fucking pragmatic. Everything we've talked about, those principles, you're fine. Like everything Michael says is bang on, but if I think you have those principles, you'll follow everyone there and you'll do all the right things for the right reasons. It's as simple as that. Just be more fucking principled in what you're doing.
Love it. Boys, it was a pleasure. That was great crack. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.